By now, you should be well aware of the allegations of sexual misconduct against Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore. As of this moment, 9 women have come forward and accused him of unwanted sexual advances, everything from trying to date or kiss them while they were teenagers and he was in his 30s, to unwanted groping and grabbing, to a sexual encounter with a 14-year-old. And at a campaign event, Roy Moore offered his boldest denial yet.
Pictures of young children, whose names are not mentioned, that I do not know, appear conveniently on the opposition's ads. These allegations are completely false. They're malicious. Specifically, I do not know any of these women, nor have I ever engaged in sexual misconduct with any woman.
2 things. What's noteworthy here is that these 9 women have come forward by name despite the backlash that they're facing from their community. Now, Roy Moore specifically said that Doug Jones did not mention these women by name when that's the entire point of the ad.
Lee Korfman, Beverly Young Nelson, Debbie Wesson Gibson. Will we make their abuser a U.S. Senator?
Now, AL.com and the Washington Post have vetted these women and their stories have remained consistent. But what about Roy Moore's? He said twice in that appearance that he did not know any of his accusers. But that doesn't match up with what he said in his first interview following the initial Washington Post story. In a November 10th radio interview with Sean Hannity, Moore said that though he did not know Lee Korfman, the 14-year-old, he admitted knowing 2 of the original 4 accusers.
You understand this is 40 years ago, and after my return from the military, I dated a lot of young ladies. I do recognize, however, the names of 2 of these young ladies, Debbie Wesson and Gloria Thacker, which they have a maiden, that's their maiden name.
And Moore also danced around whether he may have dated Debbie Wesson Gibson when she was a teenager.
But do you remember ever going on a date with her? She said that you asked her out on the first of several dates, but nothing progressed beyond kissing.
I don't remember specific dates. No, I do not. And I don't remember if it was in that time or later, but I do not remember that. No.
But you know her, but you never dated her ever. Is that what you're saying?
Know her, but I don't remember going out on dates. I knew her as a friend. If we did go on dates, then we did, but I do not remember that.
And when asked about Gloria Thacker Deason, Moore said he could not have possibly bought her alcohol because at the time, Etowah County was dry.
Because in this county, it's a dry county. We never would have had liquor if I would never. And I believe this, she said that she believed she was underage. And she, as I recall, she was 19 or older.
However, AL.com has confirmed that Etowah County went wet in 1972, 7 years before Deason says that Moore bought her alcohol as a minor. And when pressed on whether he had ever dated women as young as 17 while in his 30s, Moore offered Hannity the non-committal denial, not generally, no. And then he added this.
And I don't remember ever dating any girl without the permission of her mother.
And after that Sean Hannity interview, Moore just disappeared for a while, instead sending out his surrogates to speak to the media. And with friends like these...
By the way, the lady that he's married to now, Miss Kayla, is a younger woman. He did that because, there's something about a purity of a young woman. And there's something about something that's good, that's true, that's straight.
And culturally speaking, I would say there's differences. I looked up Allie's background there, and wow, that's awesome that you have got such a diverse background. It's really cool to read through that. But point is this,
what does Allie's
each culture
background
has
have to do with dating a 14-year-old?
I'm not finished with the context of it.
Well, please answer. What does Allie Velsh's background have to do with dating children, 14-year-old girls?
Sure. In other countries, there's arrangement through parents for what we would refer to as consensual marriage. So
Allie's from Canada.
I understand that.
Now, I want to be clear. Trenton Garman is not just a campaign surrogate. He is also Roy Moore's attorney. And rather than deny that his client ever dated teenage women, he just tried to suggest it's okay because Roy Moore comes from a different culture. And then Roy Moore's team tried to change tactics. On November 15th, they held an event where they said Roy Moore actually did know one of his accusers, but that she tried to cover it up.
In 1999, Ms. Nelson filed a divorce action against her then husband, Mr. Harris. Guess who that case was before? It was filed in Etowah County, and the judge assigned was Roy S. Moore, Circuit Judge of Etowah County. There was contact.
Did you catch that? Roy Moore is trying to have it both ways. When it hurts him, he doesn't know his accusers. But when it helps him, He does. He also initially claimed that the Old Hickory House restaurant in Gadsden, where he's alleged to have assaulted Beverly Young Nelson, did not exist, only to come back later and say that Nelson's story doesn't add up because the dumpsters where she said the assault took place were actually next to the building and not behind it. And when pressed on his inconsistencies, the Moore campaign refuses to answer even the most basic questions from reporters. And while issues like alcohol sales or dumpster locations or whether or not restaurants existed can be chalked up to the faulty memory of old age, outright denials that he knew any of the women, that's a much taller order. And it contradicts his own earlier statements.
I do recognize, however, the names of two of these young ladies, Debbie Wesson and Gloria Thacker.
There was contact.
Specifically, I do not know any of these women.
So I think the accuser Lee Korfman may have put it best.
Roy Moore denies these allegations and further says he does not even know you.
I wonder how many Mays he doesn't know.
For Reckon, I'm John Hammondtree.